Sunil Reddy Dodla, who is the Managing Director of Dodla Dairy, joins us now to talk about that. Mr. Reddy, good morning and thanks for joining in. You know, I want to talk a little bit about the gross margins because they were down 520 basis points at 23%. What are the margins like going to be? What are the margins going to be like going ahead? Is there more pressure that you're expecting?
So thank you very much for having us on the show and good morning. The pressure on the margins has been predominantly due to our raw material price hike. This has basically, it's a seasonal thing in the dairy industry that does happen often. So April, May, June being the summer months, milk availability was a bit weak and therefore we had to pay higher prices for milk availability. And also, as you said, the growth which has been come back with a vengeance in terms of people buying more of the dairy products. So procurement to catch up did take some time for it to happen. Now it's sort of stabilized, but still we have issues like lumpy skin disease, which has come in the north of India. We are entering into our flush season, which will decide whether milk prices will come down. But even if they don't come down, already selling prices of milk have been increased to compensate both the milk price increases and the other expenses that have increased, especially packing material and such things because of the Ukraine war. We have also factored that into our selling price increase.
Right. Sir, good morning. Prashant here. So, what is the overall assessment of the impact of the lumpy skin disease? You operate largely in the south of the country. How's it panning out so far?
So, lumpy skin disease, basically, I think south will be a little more protected because we did go through this at a phase of, I think, a couple of years ago. We did have lumpy skin disease, and I think there's some kind of immunity being built into the herd. And also lumpy skin, I think, is not hurting buffaloes and these species. More in the cow species is getting hurt a little more. But I think it will be contained because now the vaccines have been made available by the government and they're giving it at a subsidized price and rolling it out pretty fast. It will be contained in another month or so.
When does the flush period usually last, sir? Is it from now to... are we in that period typically?
The flush just started.
Okay.
Basically the monsoons, it almost goes along with the monsoons, more rains, more grass for the animals kind of a scenario. I think it has just started, but I'm not seeing much of an uptake. I think we will, even if the milk procurement prices are at this high and don't come down, we will be compensating it by increasing selling prices.
So usually the yield goes up quite a bit and prices, the expectation is that prices will come off as yield.
Because
of... Yeah. And you're saying as of now, you're not seeing that happening. It may pick up.
It may, it's not yet happening, but we normally give that 1 month of time for it to see if too much of monsoons, flooding and those kind of things do have an impact. We have to wait and see for another 15-20 days before we know what's happening.
Okay. What is the capacity utilization that you're sitting on currently and any fresh capex plans that you have?
No fresh capex plans at the moment other than the feed plant that we had already announced that we will be establishing. So we are almost using 75 to 80% of our capacity currently.
Okay. And what is the market share now amongst private players and the overall market share? How has it changed compared to, say, a year ago?
It's sort of maintaining status quo. Private sector and cooperatives are, I think, in the southern region, if I put them together, will almost be 50-50 now. I think maybe 51-52% will be with the private sector. If you leave Karnataka out of it, it will be even more. Status quo has been maintained, almost the same status that we are maintaining as earlier.
Right. Could you tell us how are value-added products doing, sir? They did well in the first quarter. And they're about 30-32% of the overall sales of the company now. What's happening there?
So value-added products in the summer months will have a percentage or two higher uptake than the average of the year. It's predominantly driven by ice cream, lassi, buttermilk, which are more seasonal in terms of the summer season. People consume a lot more. But we will be higher than what we were earlier and we will continue to keep moving them because we're seeing a lot more traction coming in from products like paneer and Indian sweets.
Okay. Could you tell us, so far in Q2, what are sales looking like? I mean, as compared to the same quarter last year?
Compared to the last year quarter, we are maintaining these high growth rates as we had shown in the previous quarters. Because I think compared to pre-COVID levels, we have now surpassed the pre-COVID levels also by the regular growth that we used to have. We normally have a 10% by volume and 15% by value growth. comparing it even to pre-COVID levels, we're surpassing and coming to that levels, back to normal.
Okay. So 20-25% kind of growth, quarter on quarter.
Quarter on quarter, yes.
Okay. You said that you're seeing good demand increase in value-added products like paneer and Indian sweets. What does it mean for your operational performance? If you're selling more of that, will you do better in terms of margins? And what is the total proportion now?
So margins will not be impacted very much in terms of the paneer and the sweets because it's still a very small segment and it has to grow larger comparing to the overall basket that we have. But it's a good trend that people are beginning to buy more of dairy-based sweets and of course paneer has always been there, but it's moving into more as a regular consumption. As economy improves, I think as a protein substitute, it is catching on pretty fast.
Right. Just one last question from my side, sir. So in the south of India, it was not, I mean, the impact of LSD was not that much, but it hit states like Rajasthan, Gujarat, etc. quite a bit. But in your assessment, are we through the worst of that, or you think we still need to wait and watch for those states as well?
We are mostly through the worst of that. Even if it flares up, people now are prepared to take care of it. So if there is even an outbreak in a smaller area, I think that surrounding areas will quickly go and get themselves vaccinated. So I think we're prepared for it.
All right, fair enough. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us. Good luck and appreciate you joining in with that perspective on the dairy industry.